Tara Palmer with Modern Farming Podcast, brought to you by Green Gene Foundation. We're cultivating agriculture excellence through education. Today we have Shelley Gupta with BāKIT Box, a STEM-based activity kit that brings diverse flavors and traditions into the households everywhere. Welcome, Shelley, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I'm Shelley Gupta, founder of BāKIT Box. I'm from Canada, Toronto. I'm an Indian Canadian. My parents immigrated from India. And so a big part for me was, as a kid, kind of blending these two cultures of like Indian and Canadian culture. And so there wasn't a lot of cultures reflected in those days in food choices or activities or any of that. So what I really wanted to offer in this year, in this generation, is the ability to explore these different cultures and cuisines in a way that I didn't have as a kid. And so being able to allow kids today of this generation to not only see their own culture or country reflected, but other people's and people that they might be in school with or they're friends with, and really get to know and be curious about the world in that way. And that's really the inspiration behind wanting to create something like BāKIT Box. I moved to Chicago for grad school. And after some years of being in the strategy finance world, I was really inspired to create my own product and my own business. And so BāKIT Box was created under the idea that there's really no diversity in baking, in the baking industry. Typically, your local grocery store is going to be filled with options to bake, like, your birthday cakes, your brownies, but nothing really from different cultures or different cuisines. The additional piece to that is there is truly a lack of cultural education in the school system, and the curriculum really doesn't reflect the people. And so I wanted to create something where you can bring in that cultural education to a fun outlet like baking and learn right from your kitchen.
That's awesome. So it's a kit that gets mailed to people. They sign up for it. And is it a subscription that you do monthly?
Yeah, great question. So it is online. So you purchase online and you get the shipment right to your door. It includes all the ingredients that you need to make the recipe. So all the dry ingredients. You may need to purchase some eggs or butter or maybe some milk products. And then everything's at your door. You can subscribe. We do a quarterly subscription versus monthly, which gives you a little bit more time in those 3 months to bake the recipes. And then 3 months later, you get another 3 kits. So you do still get 12 a year, but we give you a little more flexibility within that time frame. And all of our kits are also available for one-time purchase. The subscription is a rotational theme, so you'll get something new every 3 months.
So tell me about these themes. And is it all baking like baked goods, or is it some foods that you would eat for dinner?
Yeah, great question. So we mostly do sweets. We do have some savory items as well. We've had some themes in the past that are really exciting. One of them is called Science of Color, for example, where our main kind of highlight recipe is called our Aurora Swirl Cookies, and we highlight Iceland and the Northern Lights. That was one of our past themes. We've actually created a single kit now that you can buy anytime with this theme because it was super popular. We had another theme that just rotated off called Forces of Nature, where we were introducing learning about the globe. For example, learning about the movement of tectonic plates using frosting and using cookies, where you could, move the cookies around and see how it reforms. And essentially that's replicating what happens on Earth with 3 delicious recipes. We also right now, from July until the end of September, have a theme called Farm to Flavor. And this actually includes a recipe that is savory, as you mentioned. It's a za'atar flatbread. So it's kind of like almost like a Middle Eastern flatbread. You can eat it with hummus. You can eat it plain. You could even maybe top it with some pizza toppings if you'd like. And it is delicious.
That sounds delicious. How do you bring in the STEM-based portion of it? I hear that you're saying like the tectonic plates and stuff like that. Can you more elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So every box has a detailed activity guide, and it goes far beyond the baking. So we're introducing STEM, we're introducing art, language, geography, and culture into that workbook. So sometimes the activities are using food elements like the tectonic plate activity, and sometimes they're just going to use household items as well. So you'll have some engineering projects in there. You'll have math problems. You'll have some science projects. You'll be understanding the chemistry of baking while learning potentially, some phrases in the language of that country, or also maybe doing some creative or artsy projects as well. So we incorporate the whole gamut of STEM.
I didn't know that part of it, so I was just excited about the baking.
Yes.
So tell me about how you get the ideas of what you're going to have for the next subscriptions or the next box.
That's the best part. The creative part is so fun. So I work with two different pastry chefs. We also work with an educator and my internal team, my marketing team, and we are constantly looking at what flavors are really popular right now, what are really trendy, what are kids really liking, and we also look at what countries we haven't featured, and we find, what are the big flavors of those places and how we can kind of tie it all together. So it really is a lot of research and understanding what flavor profiles we would like to feature. And then from there, we look at recipes that are relatively easy, and we want to make sure that we're putting a lot of value in the box. So we typically don't do a recipe that requires 15 items that you have to buy on your own because we can't ship them, for example. So we try to do recipes where we can provide majority of the items and maybe you throw in some dairy products. We also try to provide products where there might be some interesting specialty items in there. We have, for example, we have a kit that has ube powder from the Philippines. So we provide that for you, or rose water for our Middle Eastern Persian love cake. So we always are trying to add that extra value for you. So it's a lot of collaboration with our various teams to come up with the best flavor profile and then tie it back to the country and tie it back to what activities and STEM is relevant for the topic.
What age group are you aimed at when you're making these boxes?
We target kids from 5 to 12. I have a lot of people email us or call us around, oh, do you have kits for adults? And I'm like, you can bake any of our kits. You may not want to go through the whole STEM booklet if you're a little older, but the baking part of it is really for anybody. I love to do it. I have friends that love to bake as well, and they're not necessarily doing it with kids. But the additional education and that additional engagement that you have with your family is really the beautiful moments and memories that we're creating. And for the kids 5 to 12, you really get something different out of it based on that age. So a 5-year-old is going to get something out of it differently than a 12-year-old. And what's kind of beautiful about it is baking is really for all ages, but the activities is where we can, there's some learning, there's some reading for the younger kids. The 12-year-olds are able to do it completely independently. So we really can cater the same kit to multiple ages.
That's awesome. How do you decide which countries you're going to use for the new upcoming ones?
We do a lot of research on the flavors, again, like flavor profiles around the world. And sometimes it just comes down to there's a really cool flavor that we've been hearing about and we want to make something with it, and it originated from a certain country. So sometimes that's how it starts off. And other times, it might be that there's a season that's coming up and we really want to highlight that country because maybe there's a big holiday that month or that quarter. And so we pick the countries based on a variety of things, for example. I'll give you an example. We do in March, we're going to be having our theme that's called Slice of Pie. And it's kind of highlighting Pie Day, which is March 14th. With Pie Day, you kind of think about which countries have traditional pie recipes. And so that's kind of how we picked the countries for that particular theme. I won't give it away yet because that's going to be for early 2027.
Okay. Is there any one particular recipe that you're really proud of?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm proud of all of the recipes, but there's one in particular I just love to make, and I've made it over and over again. It's called our Persian love cake. It is a beautiful white cake, and it has lemon and rose water in the dough, and it smells very floral. It's very pretty. It's very light, not too sweet. And we've actually have two variations of it because it's so popular. We have a cake version and a cupcake version. So you can make, more single serve versions of it. And it's just really beautiful. We've had it online since we launched, and it's been a bestseller. And so it has not gone away. It's not going anywhere.
I'm sure you get feedback after the people use your box and let you know what they liked and what they didn't like. Is any surprises on some of the things they loved about your product?
Not surprises, but I've had some really just beautiful feedback that it's been, a nice bonding moment with parents and kids, or that their kids were surprisingly really good at a certain step that they maybe didn't really realize. And I think that giving the opportunity to your younger kids to be accomplished, like do something from start to finish on their own. It challenges them and it tests them in a way that I think surprises parents a little bit. Cause I've had a few comments where they're like, my kid just took ownership and ran with it and really crushed it. And that's like so awesome to hear. I also got some really cool feedback from a family who was learning a few lines in Arabic from one of our kits. And she sent in a video of her two boys like saying the line to each other. And it was just so beautiful to see that. Like, that's really why I continue to do this. But I would also say that customer feedback has improved our product as well. Part of the reason why we have so much education in the box is from feedback from our customers early on. I remember getting a few emails and phone calls at the time that said, like, we really love this cultural aspect, but like, I would love to learn more. What else can you share? What else can you teach us about it? And that was when I was like, oh my gosh, there's such an opportunity here, and started adding more content, more fun facts, more exposure to that country. And it was really because of the feedback from my customers.
What's really nice that I can see about this is that it's open to both boys and girls. It doesn't sound like it's only for young girl bakers, but that it has elements in it that might entice young boys also.
Absolutely. Baking is for everyone. Everyone loves sweets, right? That's not specific to boys or girls. And we definitely don't want to be pushing it in one direction or another, especially when kids are so young. They should be exploring all different things. And I just love the fact that we're introducing STEM to kids so young. So before they get into the years where they kind of have to decide which direction they're going in, or, how technical they want to be when it comes to STEM, which is, middle school, high school, and beyond, they get to experience it at a young age in a more hands-on way. So it's definitely for boys and girls and adults, and, anyone can really do this.
So what have you learned along the way?
I've learned so much. Well, for one, I've learned a lot about these different countries, and I've learned a lot about different flavors. Also, just like working with certain tools and baking tools, and understanding like the chemistry around how you work with doughs of different kinds. It's just so interesting to me, because there may be a recipe from one country and it can be very similar to another, yet it's called something different. There's maybe one flavor that's different. So it really is cool for me to learn about how united the world really is with our flavors. And I actually made one of my recipes and I took it to a party with some friends. And I just overheard people kind of going over to the table and trying it. And they all were from a different country of origin. And I overheard 3 different people say, oh, this tastes like something from my country. And it was so cool, because I was like, oh my gosh, like we all have such diverse flavors, yet these are familiar to each other. And it teaches me a lot every day about the world. I've also definitely learned a lot from a business perspective, and building out a team and building out a business. It's definitely very challenging, and it's also just super fulfilling.
So I could definitely see how anybody would sign up for this, but the homeschool aspect of it, to have STEM included, to have something the kids are doing in the kitchen, to share that experience with them, because a lot of times studying is not as fun, but when you get to do stuff, it makes it more fun, and then you're more engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're approved as curriculum providers in 17 states in the States right now. And so that it's a great way for families to be able to use their scholarship funds to purchase our BāKIT boxes, whether that's subscribing or purchasing individual kits. And I've heard from a lot of families that they use it as it's curriculum, but sometimes it's supplementary to another unit of study. So whether that's, if they're doing a math unit and they want to pull in a recipe where they can teach some of the measurements, or they can teach some, whatever the unit is that they're studying at the time. I also had a parent let me know that she was using it association to like a country unit of study, where then they pull in the recipes that we've provided. So it's definitely a great tool. What I love too is that families can incorporate it in their own way, just as they are with homeschooling. They get to create their curriculum. It gives them that creativity, gives them that flexibility. And then we can provide the curriculum on our end in a way that they can incorporate however they want, which is really fantastic.
I'm sure on your cards and the information in the box, you have things about the traditions that are done in those countries too. And that really appeals to me, because I think people have so many traditions to bring forth and show us.
And it's cool to know what those are, especially, we're so used to what the traditions are more mainstream in America or North America. And so to learn about what people do in different places is really fun. One of our kits is our confetti birthday cupcakes. And in the box, as you mentioned, we talk about what are birthday traditions in other parts of the world. And it's cool because like it's very different. In the US, you have birthday cake and you sing happy birthday, but in other places, there are different things that people do to celebrate.
So where do you see BāKIT Box heading over the next few years?
Yeah. So for one, we want to just keep providing great curriculum and awesome recipes for all of our customers. We are looking to expand into additional homeschool states as well as providers. In addition, we are being sold right now through a few retailers as well as on Amazon. So being able to build that out and really be a go-to source for parents when it comes to, DIY projects at home. And, I love the idea of bringing activities into the kitchen where you're screen free and you can engage with your kiddos. And so being able to just continue to grow that, expand into more parts of the US and eventually expand outside of the US as well is my goal.
Wonderful. We're looking forward to the growth that you have there and seeing more boxes come from different countries.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
So I'm in the state of Florida, and so is this available here?
Yes, absolutely. So we are approved in Florida with Step Up for Students. So you can go onto your Step Up for Students platform and just search for BāKIT Box and you'll find us. We have a variety of kits available. We've got aprons, we've got baking tools, and then we also have our 1-year subscriptions available that you can purchase directly with your funds. If you're not part of Step Up for Students, you can visit BāKITbox.com and purchase directly from our website as well.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say that there's something very nostalgic about baking. And one thing that it reminds me of sometimes is, thinking about when I was a kid and baking with my mom or my grandma or my dad. And so that's the feeling that we want to bring back to people. So we hope that you feel that as well. You can find BāKIT Box at BāKITbox.com, which is BAKIT box.com. And you can also find us through your homeschool provider. You can check if we are offered in your state on our website.
So I'm in the state of Florida, and so is this available here?
Yes, absolutely. So we are approved in Florida with Step Up for Students. So you can go onto your Step Up for Students platform and just search for BāKIT Box and you'll find us. We have a variety of kits available. We've got aprons, we've got baking tools, and then we also have our 1-year subscriptions available that you can purchase directly with your funds. If you're not part of Step Up for Students, you can visit BāKITbox.com and purchase directly from our website as well.
Thank you very much, Shelley Gupta, for joining us today with Modern Farming Podcast. And be sure to follow us and join us again as we grow knowledge about the world that feeds us.